everybody, I'm Amy, this is my wife Maggie,
Hello.
and together we are ThinkerThemer, and welcome to another top 10, this time our most thematic trick takers. So not our top trick takers. If you want to check out that video, click in the description below. This is all about the theme of them.
Yes.
And we have actually shared this top 10 twice, but only in person live at two conventions. The first time was in Las Vegas at Dice Tower West in March, and then most recently this weekend gone at PlayCon, the inaugural PlayCon. First time it was ever in Sydney, and they're going to be back in 2025. That is the new convention in Australia put on by the Board Game Barbecue podcast.
Yeah.
But we thought we'd share it more broadly.
Well, thematic trick takers. What's this all about? We know trick takers are usually like numbers. It's very hard. It's very much just a mechanic. Sometimes there's a little bit of color, but that's probably about it. But like all the designers, I was going to say authors, I guess in a way, designers work so hard to try and put theme onto this fairly
Very
abstract concept. And I appreciate that. So I want to say this is a thank you to all of those designers that work so hard to try and like put on a theme that kind of feels thematic or makes some sort of sense into this pretty fun mechanic, which I actually really appreciate, even though it's so abstract.
A challenge, but I love it as well because thematic trick takers are kind of like the perfect bridging of what we enjoy in games. So let's get into our top 10.
Our number 10 is a game called Dog Tag Trick. And in this adorable little game, you are going to be showing dogs at a best in show type event. And so all your cards have adorable, individually, all unique illustrated dogs. And the way it works is every trick is, again, it's a showing of your dog at either at the main event, which is going to be a trick that has then two cards, either a small run, pair, or two cards that add up to a multiple of 5. Or if you go, I'm not going to be able to win this trick, I'm going to play a single card, which is going to be a separate side event. So essentially you have two tricks going on at the same time. But what happens is at the end of the trick, the main event is going to get more points. So whoever comes first and second in that main event trick is going to get 2 points and 1 point. Whereas the person that comes first in this side trick, which is just a single card and it's just the highest single card, and then there's like a hierarchy of suits, then it's going to get a little point. So the reason I love this game is because, well, one, the illustrations.
Super cute. I especially like number 1, which is the pug. Cute.
But also it does feel quite, well, the other thing is some of the cards can be turned upside down, whether you want to play them as one number or another. So it's kind of like the dog's sort of going, whoop, look, I'm doing the trick. What about this one? It's like, that is more adorable. That gets more points. So I enjoy that. But also, the whole main event versus going, I'm going to try and win a side event award because I don't think my dog is going to.
Yeah, which is super thematic, but it's also really fun to have a trick-taking game that has two tricks playing simultaneously, and then there's a hierarchy of suits as well. So it is quite crunchy and thinky as a game, but I love the theme that they've chosen for it too.
Yeah. So it's our number 10, Dog Tag Trick.
Okay, so our number 9 is a game I have right here. It is King's Trick Takers. Now, this is a really asymmetric trick-taking game, which is unlike anything else in our collection. It's really interesting because it's almost like a battle-style trick-taking game where you are trying to assemble the best party in order to take on your opponents. And the way that this works is that you're going to start with some royals, which are your king, queen, and jack. The king has a one-off trump ability that you can only use once per game. The queen has a unique ability that can be used once per round, and then the jack is going to offer you different ways of betting on your tricks. Now, that's not the thematic part. Kind of thematic in that you all have a different royal family. Yeah. But the most thematic part is every round you're going to be drafting this band of heroes of different types of people with different skills that are going to help you beat your opponents. And those are very thematic. So there are all these characters out in the middle of the table, and one by one you're going to draft these characters. And there are characters like the gambler. So the gambler allows you to swap out, or you have to swap out cards in your hand after you've made your bet. But if you pull your bet off, then you're going to get bonus points, for example. Then there's the collector, and the collector just wants to collect I think it's white cards.
Rare cards, yeah.
Rare cards that get played into tricks, and the more you get, it's a bit of a set collection game. And then also there's like the hermit, and who wants nothing to do with this battle and actually wants to win no tricks, so gives you bonus points for shooting the moon and getting no tricks. So all of the characters are really thematic, and then once you draft them and put them into your party, it's like you're playing with a different group of skills every time you play a round of this game. So super fascinating from a mechanics perspective. Yeah, it's just unlike anything else.
Really is like recruiting your party, because in every round there's also like you're sort of you're changing that party. So it means that you're going, okay, well maybe I'll do this. And I think just the actual connection between the name of or the character and what they do. Like I think there's one, I can't remember, it's like the devil or something. And all it wants is gonna get points for people that miss their beats. So it's like it's just so clever with something so simple that they've managed to make that so thematic.
Yeah, really interesting character powers. That is our number 9, King's Trick Takers.
Our number 8 is a game called Cat in the Box. Now, Cat in the Box is referring to, I always say it wrong, Schrodinger's cat, where I believe it's a physics, is it like I don't know what it is, like a physics concept of if you have a cat in a box, it is both alive and dead at the same time until you actually open the box and you're able to sort of see, and at that point, it's the only point where it actually is one or the other. But before the box is open, it is in both potential states. The way they've replicated that in the game is that all the cards are cats, all the cards are black cats. And so the color of the suit they technically can be potentially any of the different colors until you actually play the card into a trick, at which point you have to commit it. Go, well, this 3 is now going to be a blue 3. So there's a central board where everyone puts their tokens as they're committing a particular color and number to a color. And so once that's claimed, no one else can claim that, because that card and number and suit has been claimed. And so the interesting thing about it is you're having to kind of manage the numbers that you have, because you'll have more numbers than can be played. Essentially, I think it's like 5 of the same number, but there's only 4 different suits. And so what will happen is at some point you might have a moment where a player they don't have a card that they can legally play, because the only numbers that they have all been claimed in different colors, and that player will cause a paradox, which is a not good thing at all, because that means that player is going to immediately lose for that round. Any tricks that they've won are going to be negative victory points. It also ends the round, and there's sometimes a bit of laughter and a bit of like, oh no, you caused the paradox. So I find it really amusing how when we first covered this game, I really enjoyed it mechanically, and I was like, but I don't really understand how this links.
Yeah, we're like, it's not very thematic.
And then people in the comments were like, no, this is why. I'm like, oh yeah, that does make a lot of sense.
That does make sense, and now it's in our top 10 most thematic trick takers.
Like, all of the cards are potentially any or all suits until played and committed.
Once you understand that concept, the theme reveals itself.
Yeah. There's also like another layer of like, as you're playing it gets extra crunchy, because you're also trying to connect. You're trying to connect where your tokens are, which is a whole other little layer of this, which I quite enjoy. All right, so that's Cat in the Box, our number 8.
Now, our number 7 is a wacky little game from Japan. It's called Witch's Shot Delivery Service. Now, this game came onto our radar because it was actually featured in Taylor Rayner's top 10 thematic trick takers when we did the panel together at Dice Tower West. And from Taylor's Trick Taking Table, which is a great YouTube channel all about trick taking. So go and check that out if you haven't already. But this game is wild. The theme of this game is you are witches delivering parcels on behalf of Amazon. Amazon.
No copyright infringements were made.
No.
Yes.
And as you deliver these parcels, you are going to be putting increasing pressure on your spine. And if your opponent put too many parcels in the trick that you're winning, well, you're going to do irreparable damage to your spine, which is tracked on a spine card tracker, where you are taking oof tokens that are then going to be able to be used as a bit of a catch-up mechanic to play into tricks to say, you know what, my back is sore. I need a holiday.
You need to take, no, that's a sick day. I need to take a day off because my back is really playing up, so I can't possibly win this trick, even though you might be putting the highest card that would have otherwise won the trick.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating about this game mechanically is you are making bids, but you're not bidding on the number of tricks you're going to win. You're bidding on the number of parcels you're going to take from the tricks that you win, and those parcels are the kind of number of parcels that range from like 1 to 4 that are on the card that you win with. So you only take the card that you win with and you put it in front of you, and you are betting at the start on how many parcels. So which is a little challenging at first, because it's like, okay, it's not the number of tricks I'm going to win, it's the number of parcels. And then there are some hilarious cards that can be played off suit that are going to multiply or add a significant
the number of the boxes that are already there.
Add a significant number of parcels that of course puts pressure on the player that's going to win, and you can force them to really damage their spine, and the game is going to end if someone takes 3 damage tokens to their spine. It is just wild
wacky
theme.
But it's like it's so like weirdly, like it's just so quirky, and as you describe people, it also actually makes perfect thematic sense.
It does.
And so you're like, oh yeah, I guess. And so, and every time you win a trick, you're taking a fatigue token, which is again reducing your spine capacity, because it's like, well, you're kind of overworked. Like the more you work, the more you're reaching the point of like, I may not be able to keep lifting this. I can't do this for much longer. The talk around the table is so bizarrely funny.
It is funny, and we took this to PlayCon and played it a lot, and it's just everyone just smiles or laughs when they hear about the theme. It is very funny. It's a theme that could only come out of Japan.
And it's just perfection. And that's what I sort of fell in love with. As soon as Taylor kind of mentioned it, I was like, what? And this is a reaction that so many people get when you explain this. People are like, what?
Yes.
And I must play this as
well.
well.
And then we thought we'd never find it, because you know, when you hear about it, and apologies for mentioning Japanese games, because sometimes you can never find them. But we had this on our to buy list, and what was really funny is we had one of our best friends was going to Japan, and he is a little bit of a gamer, but he said, you know what, if there's anything you want me to keep an eye out for, let me know. And little did he know he was about to get 20 screenshots from me of games to look for in Japan.
That was a bit much. That's kind of overwhelming.
I think he was like, oh, I was just asking to be nice. But then he came back with this, and we were like, we can't believe you found that. That is like, we are so excited to play this game. So if you can find it, really interesting trick-taking game, both thematically and mechanically. That is our number 7, Witch's Shot Delivery Service.
Our number 6 is a game called Dokido Aisu, which is all about wanting to go into an ice cream parlor and eating or having delicious ice cream, because every single card in this game is going to represent an ice cream flavor. So you have vanilla, matcha, chocolate, and grape.
Everybody's favorite, grape ice cream.
I do love grape. Well, it's a very Japanese sort of flavor profile, and I do love everything that's sort of grape flavored. So what happens in this game is, as you're playing, if you're winning a trick, you're winning all the cards that were played into that trick, which again represent different flavors of ice cream. If everyone played, say, the vanilla suit, then you get to win a vanilla scoop that is going to go onto your cone. And so the main thing about this is you don't ever want to get to the point where you win 4 scoops or more, because at that point you're going to spill your ice cream and everyone gets kicked out of the ice cream parlor because you've made a mess.
Don't get greedy.
Don't get greedy. So the interesting thing about this is those scoops that you win, they're going to be your point multiplier. So you're going to get a point essentially multiplied for every single card that you won of that color, of all the cards that you won in your tricks. So sometimes you're going to get a mix of colors because someone may have played off suit because they couldn't lead or whatever, and so they're not really going to score unless you manage to get scoops for those the little scoops that match their flavors. The other little detail with this is some of those scoops, as you're collecting, as you're picking which one, they're face down, and on the bottom, one of them for each one of the flavors, one of them has a secret extra little topping, and so that's going to be an extra sort of multiplier. So there's another layer of like, ooh, surprise in the light, and going, ooh, I hope I get the, it's just a plain scoop of ice cream. Super thematic, because Amy's sister actually worked at an ice cream parlor once, and she said this happens all the time. People get super greedy and they think they can like endlessly balance things, and then everyone's like, I spilled my ice cream. Can you give me another one? It's like, well, no, this is on you. You did this.
Yeah. And look, there are so many trick-taking games where you don't want to take too many tricks, but the way this is thematically implemented is hilarious, and it gets a lot of table talk with people saying, "Oh, you got too greedy. Don't get too greedy."
Yeah, it's like, oh, that looks like that's enough.
Yeah. And then you're obviously trying not to get that fourth scoop of ice cream. So it has a great physicality to it on the table. It really is eye-catching. So it's a
very
really
cute
game.
Yeah,
that is our number 6, Taquito Ice. Our number 5 is a game called Schadenfreude. And this term, if you haven't heard it before, is a German term that means deriving pleasure from other people's misfortune. And that is essentially a theme that is very, very implemented within the mechanics of this game, because you are going to be trying to cause your opponents as much pain as possible. And the way you're doing that is by ruining their attempts to gain points. And so in this game, there is a point tracker, and everyone is going to have a meeple around this point tracker that is tracking the number of points that they're winning in their score pile after every trick. Now, the winner of this game is going to be the person who gets as close to 40 without going over 40. In fact, the end game is triggered by one player going over 40 who gets eliminated and cannot win. So you do not want to go over 40. Now, this game is all about taking pleasure in someone's misfortune, and this is the person who is in the lead. So watching that person go over 40, you're like,
you overshot it.
But also in every trick, it's actually the person who plays the second highest in the lead suit that is going to take the points in the trick. Now, what are you trying to do? Well, in every round, you are getting cards put in front of you, and you collect the card that you win the trick with, as well as any cards that were played off suit. Now, this is the interesting part, because your opponents, when they play off suit, they get to think about, what do I want to give that person, because they're going to put that in their score pile. And there are negative cards in here. So if you play a -2, that person's going to put -2 in front of them and not have any hopes of getting further up on that scoring track potentially, or they may want the negative, so you've got to watch out for that too, because they don't want to go over 40 as well. But the other interesting thing is the points you have in front of you can be negated if you collect another card of the same value. So if I had an 8 in front of me and I'm like, yes, I'm going to score 8 at the end of this round, someone might give me another 8, and that actually cancels it out. So you're constantly thinking about, how am I going to mess with this person's score, either to give them way more points and push them over 40, or to keep them way suppressed on the scoring track so they can't get anything at all. So it really is, it's highly interactive. So if you do not like interaction, this is not a game for you, because it's all about messing with everybody else, and it's hilarious because it's constantly like, ha, like, it's like, I gave you this card.
I think you will really
you would love this card. And so it's just a funny little game. It's actually just one of my favorite trick-taking games as well. It's really, really clever, highly interactive. And that's why, it embodies the name of the game.
Yeah, you really do. You absolutely embody that, the feeling of this going, oh, you went over? Oh,
I'm so sorry. So that is our number 5, Schadenfreude.
Our number 4 is a game called For Northwood. Which is a solo trick-taking game. And you might go, a solo trick-taking game, does that even work? The answer is yes. Yes, it does. It works really well, actually. And in this game, it's adorable as well. So the illustrations are super, super cute. They're all different critters. And what happens here is you have a challenge of all of these different rulers, so all these different cards, which are going to be different rulers of different regions. And you have to have dialogues with them to convince them to be for Northwood. And the way you're going to have these dialogues with them is they all will represent a certain number of tricks that you're going to need to win exactly when you have the conversation with them, or you kind of have the game with them. Where if you win that, they're going to go up and go be for Northwood, which means, one, you're going to get points for that, but also you're going to be able to use their unique abilities later on. And if you don't quite hit the exact number of tricks, then they literally give you their back. You play them face down, and they're gone forever. They've got no interest interest in any further dialogue with you. The way you're having these conversations is you're essentially playing tricks. All of those cards will have a preferred suit, and so that preferred suit is essentially the trump suit when you're playing against it. And it's very simple because it's a 2-card trick. So they're gonna play their card, then you're gonna play your card to either try and win it or not win it. Because again, some of them are going to be impressed if you win a lot of the arguments against them, and some of them are not going to be impressed. So that's why you have to hit it just right. I absolutely adore this game. It even has a campaign mode. Whenever we've sort of taught this to friends when they've been staying with us or whatever, it's like I will inevitably, like, I'll be going to the restroom or something. It's like 11 p.m. and they're like obsessively playing on again because again, like the way that you get points is like if the more you go to the extreme, so the ones that need 0 tricks or the most tricks are going to give you most points, and there's like a hierarchy of where do you want to land. It's just such a clever implementation, and it actually works really, really well.
And you feel like you're getting all the critters on side.
Yeah, and it's like that point where you kind of move it and go, yeah, I did it, and they go 4 Northwood. It's like so satisfying. So that is our number 4 Northwood.
And number 3 is a game that I wish we owned, but we don't.
It's impossible to find.
So hard to find. It is called the roulette taking game. And if you're familiar with the game of roulette, this replicates it so well, because in this game, every time you win a trick, you are going to be able to place a bet. And so you're placing chips out onto a roulette style board where you are essentially gambling. And what are you gambling on? Because there's no big wheel. What you are gambling on is the card that is going to win the last trick. And so you can make a bid just like you do in roulette, where you can bet that it's going to be a red or a black card or an odd or an even card for lower odds. Or if you want to try and really go for the prize, you can bid on the exact card that you think is going to win the last trick.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting, unlike the real life game of roulette, as the round goes on, your odds get better because every time a trick is played, all the cards that are played in that trick are going to be marked off the board, because obviously they can't be the card that wins the last trick. And the other fascinating part about this game is one player is going to play as the dealer or the house who will win all of your incorrect bids. So that's how they are going to win in that round. But interestingly, they have a card in their hands that is no more bets. And so when this card is played, actually I think the Japanese is actually no more bet. But, so they're going to be able to play this no more bets card in the last 4 tricks of the game. So they can play it whenever they want to, because obviously they are hoping that you make as many wrong predictions as possible to get more points. But also they don't want you to really hit it either. And so, the timing of when that gets played is really interesting. Once they play that no more bets card, what's really fascinating is the
order.
The player turn order goes in anti-clockwise order, the same way that the wheel is spun.
Well, the actual ball is thrown
on the roulette wheel. So that is incredibly thematic as well. But the whole game really just plays out like roulette, aside from the fact that there are some weird trumps in there. The Grim Reaper, this jester clown-like card, which is not very thematic. But I also just really enjoy that this is on our most thematic list, and the theme is replicating an abstract game. So it's an abstract game that is highly thematic, representing an abstract game.
Yeah, that is weird, but it's because it's representing an event, a situation, which is the playing of roulette, and it's done that really, really well.
Yeah. And look, there's been, this is a really hard game to find, but there has been random talk and chit-chat that we've heard of people trying to bring it back and reprint it. So that is our number 3, the roulette taking game. Now, I'm also going to talk about our number 2 because it's a game that I absolutely adore. It's called Pieces 2 Sheepdogs. Now, in this game, you're actually playing as 2 sheepdogs. It's a 2-player only trick-taking game. And as these... there's so many nice pieces in here that they've just fallen out. As these sheepdogs, your objective is to round up livestock. And the cutest thing about this game is there are no cards. All of the cards are represented by these numbers on different livestock, where the livestock are the suit. And so you have this hidden screen with the livestock behind it, and each trick is simply just one one player leading. Perhaps I lead with a pig, and then Maggie has to also follow suit by playing a pig as well. And there are many options in this game about whether you want to win or lose the trick, because the winner gets to take both of those livestock, both of those piggies, and put them into their fields. So there's this player area, this combined board-like area that consists of 4 fields, 2 on each player's side, and 2 fences. And the objective is really to round up these livestock, get them into your fences so you can bring them back into your barn and score points. But what's interesting is the winner's going to be able to take those pigs, put them in one of their fields, but the loser gets to play a Mancala style game where they get to pick up all of the animals in one of their fields and move them around these different areas, dropping one in
you're
each.
like, woof, woof, woof. You're kind of chasing them around and trying to move them all into the respective areas.
Yeah, which is super cute. But there's also this, one of the creatures in here is also a wolf. And if you manage to drop a wolf into the other player's pen, it's going to chase away the animals. So you are very carefully trying to place these pieces as well. So you're constantly thinking about, do I want to win or lose this trick? And what do I want to do off the back of that? It is incredibly thematic. It's also really, really cute. I've not seen a game that kind of looks like this on the table, especially a trick-taking game.
And great table presses for
It really does.
trick-taking. And the fact that you don't have cards. You've got these little kind of animals 3D printed, because obviously it was a very kind of
Small
indie production.
print run, but this is a really quirky game. They're combining 2 great mechanics, trick-taking and Mancala, 2-player only. Fascinating game. It is our number 2, Peter's 2 Sheepdogs.
And our number 1 is a game that we often joke that we've been preparing for our entire lives, and that is Rebel Princess. Not because we're rebel princesses, but because this game is about, essentially, you're all playing as fairy tale princesses, trying to have 5 days or 5 rounds without any pesky Prince Charming proposals. So it's just like, stay away, let us
You're
have
tired of it.
Yeah, let us have
more proposals.
Our princesses weekend away, long weekend away. And so the way this plays out is everyone gets assigned, or everyone gets a fairy tale princess that has their own unique asymmetric ability, which again is quite well linked to the tale of that princess, which will kind of help you break the rules once per round. And then the suits, essentially, one of the suits is the Prince Charming's suit. And that suit is not invited. So you're never allowed to lead with that suit. But as soon as someone's no longer able to play like a follow suit, then maybe a Prince Charming is going to break in. And as soon as one of those Prince Charmings gets in, it's a free-for-all. They all start kind of coming in. So the whole thing is about trying not to win any tricks that have Prince Charming cards, which are the sort of blue suit in it. There's also going to be, one of the suits is a green suit, which is kind of like a nature suit. And in that one, there's also one secret frog that is 5 proposals in one. So that's the frog that you do not want to kiss.
The secret prince.
The secret prince that is 5 proposals in one. So that is the worst of them all. So this game also, every round, which represents kind of like a day of these 5 days, has their own unique abilities or their own unique features. And they're also super thematic and sort of in line with, like, for example, one of them is like the masquerade. And so the rule for that round is the first card will be played face up, but every subsequent card is going to be placed face down. So you don't actually know what are people playing. Am I going to end up winning this trick? Or maybe I can, hopefully someone play something higher or whatnot. So again,
and there's one that's the pumpkin carriage, where it's obviously picks Cinderella up from the ball, but in that round you need to place one card aside that's going to be the card that you have to play in the last trick.
One.
So they're all
it's coming late. That's one that's going to come late. Late.
It's all incredibly thematic from that perspective. It is underneath it all. It is hearts reimagined. With all of these additional thematic layers, and of course, avoiding proposals from men comes very naturally to us.
It has.
So, we have adored this game from the first time that we played it, I think, and especially the first time we read about the theme. Actually, it is being brought out by Bezier.
Yes.
Well, sorry, it's being
republished?
Republished by
Yes.
Bezier, so it should have broader distribution, and also they're deluxifying some of the components and fixing a few of the little elements that were made it a little bit harder to get into.
Yeah.
So that is very exciting.
The banter, like the discussions, the table talk with this game is hilarious. It is a more chaotic type experience than the average trick-taking game. So it's almost more, which is interesting because I don't usually like fun, as people may know. So it's a little bit more on the fun side, and it's got more of that chaos. But all that chaos is extremely thematic.
It is. It's very It's very funny when you force all these princes, onto someone. But it is incredibly thematic, and also if you like different trick-taking mechanics, because of that event system, it always feels like you're playing a little mini game within the game. So it's very well deserving of our #1 most thematic trick takers. That is Rebel Princess. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if there are other thematic trick takers that you think we should check out, please mention them down in the comments below. We love this mechanic, and that's a good thing because at the moment they're so hot right now.
It's exploded in popularity, which is very, very fun because it's always so like interesting, the innovation, the twist that they do. So,
we love them. I hope you do too, and hope you enjoyed this video. But we'll be back with more board game content soon. So bye for now.
Bye.